I reached the podium, looked into the front row, and saw 3 empty seats where my family had promised to be. My hands went cold. 2 hours earlier, Mom had texted, "Sorry, Amber's surprise party can't be moved." That was it. No call, no explanation. Just one sentence wiping out 9 years of sacrifice. I could have read the safe speech, smiled for the cameras, and protected them again. I didn't. I told the truth about family disappointment, favoritism, and what empty seats really mean. 6 weeks later, the video hit 5 million views. Then Mom called, and what she asked me to do changed everything. By sunrise, my apartment smelled like burnt coffee and the lavender lotion I used whenever I needed to calm down. My graduation gown hung from the closet door, perfectly steamed, while my speech sat on the kitchen table beside a framed photo of me at 5 years old. In it, I wore a paper cap, grinned with one missing tooth, and held a cardboard diploma over my head. I had written one sentence beneath the photo years ago someday. They'll be proud. At age 29, I had finally finished my doctorate in biomedical engineering. My research focused on technology that could help restore movement after serious nerve damage. I had spent nearly a decade in classrooms, labs, and windowless conference rooms where the vending machine dinner usually tasted like salt and regret. That morning, none of it felt real. I had been chosen as valedictorian of my graduate division and selected to deliver the student address. My advisor, Dr. Claire Bennett, called it the kind of honor people remembered for the rest of their lives. My family treated it like another item on a calendar. Mom, Susan, always said I was the easy child. You never needed much. She would tell me, usually while rushing to solve another problem for my younger brother, Ryan. What she meant was that I had learned not to ask. Dad, Michael, hated conflict. He could sit through an entire dinner while Mom praised Ryan for getting a routine promotion, then changed the subject when someone mentioned my research award. He called that keeping the peace. Ryan called it normal. He was 26, charming, funny, and completely used to being the center of every family photo. If he had a game, a birthday dinner, or even a bad week, everyone rearranged their lives. Amber had been dating him for less than a year, but Mom already treated her like the daughter she had always wanted. Amber was polished, friendly, and skilled at accepting attention without ever asking where it came from. 3 months before graduation, I mailed Mom, Dad, and Ryan their guest tickets inside a small white box. I included the childhood photo and a note that said, "Front row or close enough. I want to see you when I speak." Mom called that night. We wouldn't miss it. She promised. For once, I believed her. Then, 4 days before the ceremony, Ryan texted me about Amber's surprise engagement party. He asked whether I could leave the reception early. "I'm the speaker," I told him. "I have to stay." His answer came seconds later. "Why do you always make everything difficult?" I called Mom, my chest already tightening. She laughed softly. "Don't worry, Bella. We'll be there." That should have reassured me. Instead, it sounded rehearsed, and for the first time. I wondered what she was already hiding from me. The ceremony began at 2, and Amber's surprise party had originally been scheduled for that evening. I knew that because Ryan had told me. "We'll do the proposal after your thing," he had said the week before, as if my graduation were an appointment squeezed between brunch and dinner. Then, sometime on Monday, Mom changed the party to early afternoon. Amber's parents wanted to leave town before dark. Mom decided everyone should work around them, everyone except me. She did not tell me. At 11 that morning, while I stood in my bathroom pinning back one side of my hair, my phone buzzed against the sink. "Mom, sorry. Amber's surprise party can't be moved. We'll watch online. Love you." I read it twice, then a third time. The bathroom fan hummed above me. A drop of foundation slid from the sponge onto the counter. My fingers went numb around the phone. The party could be moved. It had already been moved, just not for me. I called her. It rang until voicemail. I called Dad. No answer. Ryan texted before I could try again. "Please don't start drama today. Mom already feels terrible." I stared at the words until they blurred. I had not yelled. I had not accused anyone. I had not even spoken. And somehow, I was already the problem. Pearl earrings Mom had given me for graduation rested beside the sink. She had called them proof she believed in me. That morning, they felt less like a gift and more like an apology. I wiped beneath my eyes, fixed my makeup, and drove to campus alone. Outside the auditorium, families crowded the sidewalk with flowers, balloons, and cameras. A father straightened his daughter's hood while she laughed. A little boy dragged a bouquet almost as tall as he was. Somewhere nearby, someone opened a box of pastries, and warm cinnamon drifted through the cold air. Inside, I found my section, 3 seats, empty. I checked the entrance every few seconds, even after I knew better. 10 minutes before the ceremony, an usher approached me quietly. "Are your guests still coming?" My throat tightened. "No." She glanced toward an older couple standing near the wall with their adult daughter. "Would you mind if they used the seats for one selfish second?" I wanted to say no. I wanted those chairs to remain empty so the room could see exactly what had been done to me. Then I nodded. The older woman sat in Mom's seat. She took her daughter's hand and smiled with wet eyes. "We almost missed this," she said. I would have never forgiven myself. She meant nothing by it. That was what made it hurt. My family had not been trapped by weather, illness, or an emergency. They had tickets. They had time. They had another option. They had simply chosen not to come. When the graduates were called backstage, I picked up my speech and looked at the paragraph thanking my family for always supporting me. I drew one hard line through it, then another, and in that moment, I knew I could not give the speech I had written. Backstage. The air smelled like dust, hairspray, and hot stage lights. Someone laughed near the curtain. Someone else practiced a name under their breath. Around me, people adjusted hoods, checked phones, and searched the audience for familiar faces. I could not stop staring at the 2 black lines across my speech. My hands shook so badly I spilled water down the front of my gown. Dr. Claire Bennett found me near a stack of folding chairs. "Bella?" I looked up, and whatever she saw on my face made her stop. "They didn't come," I said. The words felt heavier out loud. Claire did not offer an excuse for them. She did not tell me to be grateful, stay positive, or avoid ruining the day. She simply took the bottle from my hand, tightened the cap, and asked, "Do you want to keep protecting them? Or do you want to tell the truth about yourself?" That question cracked something open. For years, I had cleaned up every disappointment before anyone else could see it. I told professors my parents were busy. I told friends Ryan had an important event. I told myself distance, money, work, and timing were the problem. But timing was not the problem. I was. At least, that was how my family had trained me to think. I looked down at the speech I had polished for weeks. It thanked my parents for teaching me perseverance. It praised my brother for reminding me to stay grounded. Every sentence sounded clean, safe, and false. I crossed out the entire paragraph. Claire watched me. "You don't have to burn anything down. I know. You also don't have to lie." That was the line I needed. I sat on the floor beside the chairs and rewrote the opening in the margin. My pen dragged against the paper because my fingers were still trembling. I would not say their names. I would not read Mom's message. I would not ask the audience to hate them for me. I would talk about empty seats, about how disappointment becomes a pattern, about the danger of measuring your worth by who fails to show up. I kept the science. I kept the part about damaged connections and recovery. But I changed the ending. My phone buzzed again. Jenna, sitting in the audience, had sent one sentence. "You do not have to make yourself smaller today." I read it twice, then folded the original version of my speech in half. For the first time ever, I was not asking permission to describe what their version of love had truly cost me. The stage manager called my name. My heart slammed against my ribs. I stood, smoothed my gown, and walked toward the curtain. I gave my speech anyway, but it was no longer the speech my family expected me to give. The applause faded as the dean stepped away from the microphone. And now, our valedictorian and student commencement speaker, Bella Dawson. My name rolled through the auditorium. I could not move. Then Claire touched my elbow. Go. I stepped through the curtain. The stage lights hit, bright enough to erase the ceiling. My shoes clicked against the wood. Every sound felt sharp, every breath loud. I reached the podium and placed both hands on its edges. Then I looked down. 3 strangers sat where my family should have been. The older woman in Mom's seat smiled as if she knew I needed it. I unfolded my pages. "Good afternoon," I began. My voice shook once, then it steadied. 3 months ago. I reserved 3 seats for the people I believed would be here today. The room changed. You could feel it. Programs stopped rustling. A cough died halfway through. Somewhere in the front, a camera lowered. I imagined seeing their faces when my name was called. I imagined finally sharing this moment with the people I had spent years trying to make proud. I looked at the 3 seats again. They are not here. A murmur moved through the crowd. I could have stopped there. I almost did. Instead, I let the silence sit. For most of my life, I thought an empty seat was a verdict. I thought it meant I had not worked hard enough, achieved enough, or made myself easy enough to love. My throat tightened, but I kept going. I became very good at explaining other people's absence. Work was busy, the drive was long. Someone else needed them more. I turned every disappointment into an excuse because the truth felt worse. Claire was in the aisle now, watching me without blinking. The truth was simple. Sometimes people know a moment matters to you, and they still choose something else. No one moved. My work is about damaged neural connections. We study how signals travel, where communication breaks down, and whether movement can be restored. I paused, but every connection requires a response from both sides. A woman near the center pressed her fingers to her mouth. You cannot rebuild a relationship when one person is always reaching, always forgiving, always rearranging, while the other person only appears when it is convenient. My eyes burned. I did not wipe them. I used to think an empty seat said something about the person standing on stage. Today, I know it only speaks for the person who chose not to come. The words landed harder than I expected. The older woman in Mom's seat began to cry. I looked past her, toward Jenna. She was already crying too, but she nodded at me. So I gave the final part to people like us. To anyone celebrating alone today, please hear me. Your achievement is not smaller because someone failed to witness it. Your joy is not selfish. Your ambition is not a betrayal. And you do not have to shrink your life to protect people from the consequences of their own choices. My hands had stopped shaking. Make room for the people who show up without being begged. I closed the folder. For 3 seconds. The auditorium was silent. Then Claire stood. Jenna stood beside her. The older woman rose next. One hand over her heart. The sound that followed was not polite applause. It rolled through the room like thunder. Graduates stood, professors stood, parents stood. I stepped back from the podium, breathing hard. For the first time that day, I did not look for my family. Backstage, my phone was vibrating across a table. Mom had sent 6 messages. The newest one read, "Take it back before Amber's family sees this." I stared at it. Then another message appeared from Ryan. "You ruined everything." But they were already too late. The university cameras had recorded every word. 2 days after graduation, the university posted the official video. I was in the lab when Jenna sent me the link. Do not read the comments yet, she warned. Naturally, I did. The first few were from students, then parents, then strangers who said they had sat through graduations, weddings, births, and funerals waiting for someone who never came. By the end of the first week, the video had crossed 300,000 views. 2 weeks later, it passed 1 million. 6 weeks after graduation, it reached 5 million. And 5 million views later, my family still had not asked if I was okay. Mom called almost every day. Her message never changed. People are misunderstanding us. Dad said family pain should stay private. Ryan said I had stolen the memory of his proposal. Amber posted a photo of herself holding champagne beside a caption about people who could not stand to see others happy. I did not respond. That silence bothered them more than any argument could have. News producers asked me to appear on television. Podcasts wanted the names, the screenshots, the family history. One producer promised to tell my side if I gave them the text Mom had sent. I declined every request that turned my pain into entertainment. I agreed to one written interview about favoritism, emotional neglect, and boundaries. I never named my family. I did not need to. The truth was already enough. 6 months later, Mom called again. This time, her voice was soft. "Aunt Diane is sick," she said. "We are organizing a fundraiser." My anger disappeared for a moment. Diane had always been kind to me. "I'll help with her medical bills," I said. Mom exhaled. "Good. We want you to speak. Your name will bring people in." There it was. Not Bella the daughter, Bella the headline. "I'll contribute privately," I said. "You cannot use my name or picture." Her voice hardened. "So you are punishing the whole family over one mistake." I looked through the glass wall of the lab. Jenna was helping a student adjust a sensor. Claire was reviewing data with 2 researchers. Everyone in that room understood that patterns mattered. A pattern that lasts for years is not one mistake, I said. Mom hung up. At Thanksgiving, I went home because part of me still wanted to believe one honest conversation could change something. The dining room smelled like sage, butter, and the apple candles Mom lit every November. The same family photos lined the wall. Ryan and Amber sat together beneath one where I had been cropped near the edge. Dinner lasted 12 minutes before Ryan started. "You owe Amber an apology." I set down my fork. For what? For turning our engagement into a public humiliation. Dad rubbed his forehead. "Can we please get back to normal?" The words settled over the table like dust. Normal meant Ryan was celebrated. Normal meant I adjusted. Normal meant everyone hurt me. Then called my silence peace. "I am willing to rebuild this," I said, "but only if you admit the favoritism, apologize without excuses, and show me something different." Mom stared at me. "I will not apologize for doing what was best for this family." That was the answer. I folded my napkin and stood. Ryan's proposal was not ruined by my speech. It simply stopped being powerful enough to erase my graduation. No one followed me to the door. A year later, I received an award for my research. This time, the guest row was full. Claire was there, Jenna was there, so were colleagues, students, and a family whose son had benefited from our work. Before I went on stage, I looked toward the entrance. Then I stopped. I did not need anyone else to arrive. That night, Mom sent one message. I finally watched the whole speech. I read it twice. Then I placed my phone face down. I was not ready yet. Some doors stay open, but they no longer open for free. 5 million views did not heal me. The applause did not replace the people who were missing. What changed me was understanding that love is not a promise. It is who shows up when the room gets quiet and there is nothing to gain. I stopped measuring my worth by 3 empty seats and started seeing the people who had been standing beside me all along. If you have ever waited for someone to choose you, share your story in the comments. You are not alone. And subscribe, because the next story may remind someone else to stop waiting too.